Hey guys, what's going on? Andres here again. And today we're going to be talking about whether stretching is hurting your performance or helping your performance. All right, guys, so there's been a lot of debate in recent times about whether stretching is good for you, whether stretching is bad for you. A lot of people say that stretching really hurts your performance. Others say that stretching is the key to them performing well and having a long lasting lifting or a sport career. And so there's sort of this conflicting evidence or conflicting anecdote, I should say, as to whether stretching is actually helpful at all. And so I think that some of this confusion comes from the type of stretching that these people are doing and when they're doing that stretching that really makes the difference as to whether it's going to help you or hurt you. So, for those who don't know, there are two different types of stretching, or at least we categorize stretching into two main categories. One being static stretching, the other being dynamic stretching. Static stretching is going to be that typical stretching that you think of that you probably did as a kid, that your parents have done or have showed you in the past. That's going to be when you sort of hold a prolonged stretch for a period of, say, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. This is what you might do in like yoga class. You might grab your ankle behind your back to stretch your quad. You might reach down to touch your toes and hold that stretch for a while to stretch your hamstrings, things like that. That would be static stretching. And so people used to think that static stretching was something you had to do to prevent injury, something you needed to do to warm up before you started exercise. And so for a long time, static stretching was just part of exercising. And so then after a little while, after some research came out, people started to wonder whether that was actually true. Static stretching, as it turns out, is actually really helpful for increasing range of motion acutely or in a short term. So if you're feeling kind of tight, static stretching, holding a stretch position for a while will increase your range of motion for a little while. It'll also help you to tolerate a stretch position for a longer period of time. So let's say that you're not able to get into a deep squat position because it kind of hurts, or maybe you feel like there's a little bit too much of a pull on certain muscles. Doing some static stretching then will actually help you to perform better in the sense that you'll be able to get to depth without hurting yourself or without having that sort of inhibition from your nervous system to not even squat in the first place. So, in that sense, static stretching can be helpful if you're somebody that's really tight and needs to stretch in that way. And the other thing that's nice about static stretching is usually it kind of feels good, makes your muscles feel limber, and makes you feel just more, free to move about afterwards. There are some downsides to static stretching, though. The main one is that if you hold a static stretch for too long, and usually that's about a minute would be the threshold there, a minute or longer, you start to decrease the muscle's ability to produce force. So that's where a lot of this kind of confusion has come from, or debate has come from within the lifting community, that you shouldn't be doing static stretching at all before you exercise because it's going to decrease force production. That means you're going to be able to not going to be able to lift as much weight, and gains are out the window at that point. So, not really true, but you get the picture. So if you're going to be static stretching before you exercise, so let's say you're one of those people who has a little bit of a hard time with mobility, you have a little bit of extra tension in the muscles, which you know decreases your ability to reach depth in a squat or an overhead position in a clean or something like that, then make sure you're not holding those static stretches for too long. Maybe keep those to like 20 to 40 seconds the most, so that way you don't start to decrease force production. If you have to hold it for longer than that, it's not like it's going to rob you of all of your power. It's just going to rob you of a little bit of your power and force production. So maybe the trade off is still good there. Um, the other thing about static stretching that can be a little bit off-putting is just the amount of time it kind of takes. So it might make your warm-up kind of long. Maybe it's better to be done after a workout is done maybe you're in the sauna doing some stretching, maybe you're at home between training sessions. If you do that, actually, it's been shown to be helpful in the long run if have done between training sessions as far as gaining strength and force production is concerned. The other type of static stretching is dynamic stretching. And that's going to be more of an effort where you're kind of moving your body through a range of motion and not really sticking in one place for too long. So you're kind of doing maybe like arm circles, or you're swinging your leg laterally back and forth to kind of open up the range of motion in your hip or open up the range of motion in your shoulder without actually stretching the muscles for any fixed period of time. Your muscles will actually still get stretched when you're doing dynamic stretching. They're just not going to be subject to that long duration stretching position. And actually, some of the benefits of dynamic stretching are that it's going to warm up your muscles, warm up your joints ahead of the exercise that you're actually going to be doing. It mimics the exercise, or should mimic the exercise that you're going to do in training. And it has been shown to help as far as performance is concerned if you do a good amount of dynamic stretching before you exercise. There is one drawback with dynamic stretching in that people can kind of overdo it. So some people have like a 30, 45 minute stretching or warm up mobility routine before exercise. And if that's the case for you, you're kind of probably wasting a little bit too much time on stretching, to be honest. You probably should try to get that down to like 10 to 15 minutes at the most. And maybe just if it's a case that you're just not feeling like you can even work out unless you do that 30 to 45 minutes, maybe there's something else going on a deeper level, physiologically, nervous system wise, that you need to look into. If that's the case for you, try to look into that, hire somebody to help you with that, because you shouldn't be taking 30 to 45 minutes in order to stretch. All right, so I hope that you guys found this little video helpful as far as stretching is concerned. So to recap, if you're going to do static stretching because you have some mobility issues, you have some tightness that you're trying to work through, either try to do it after a training session or between training sessions, or if you have to do it before a training session as a warm-up, try to keep that the duration of those stretches, the duration of those holds, to less than 1 minute. Maybe something in the 20 to 40 second range would be good. And you can do those maybe in sets and reps style, so that way you're getting accumulated a little bit more stretching time, but without actually decreasing that force production like it's been shown in the research. Dynamic stretching, on the other hand, might be a better choice for you in general if you're a lifter or if you're trying to perform better. It seems to mimic the exercises better. It seems to get you more limber and warmed up for the actual exercise bout. Don't overdo it. Try to keep your stretching, your warm up, your mobility routine to about 10 minutes if you can. They're definitely a good tool. Dynamic stretching is great. It's been shown to improve performance. Static stretching can still be great if you're somebody, like I said, who just has a problem with mobility and you need that extra little bit of stretch in order to feel good for your workout. So if you like this video, guys, give me a like. Follow me on Instagram at The Strength Cave. Subscribe to me on YouTube at The Strength Cave as well. On Facebook, www.facebook.com/The Strength Cave 1. Let me know if you like this video, guys. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.